And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today. Welcome back, my people. So, everybody is talking about MJ's return to the NBA, MJ's return to NBC in a special contributor role, which no one still knows exactly what that means yet. But I was checking out a segment on Gilbert Arenas, and Gilbert Arenas seems to believe that fans of Michael Jordan are going to have to do a lot of backpedaling because Michael Jordan is going to speak highly of the modern NBA. Michael Jordan isn't a hater, as Gilbert Arenas says. And I actually don't fully agree with Gilbert Arenas on this one. I think there is some truth to what he's saying. So, without further ado, let's check out this clip.
I mean, I think for me, when Mike won his last championship, I was 8 years old. So to be able to hear how Mike is going to talk about the new generation and just the game, just in general, for me, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear his perspective on everything that's going on first time.
You know, like, oh shit, like, this the GOAT. All right, let's hear what he, like, let's see how he feel.
We're about to see a lot of media twerk. Oh, they're going to be twerking. Oh, MJ's back. Oh my God, you about to see twerk. If you've never seen a man twerk, you about to see them twerk like crazy. Daisy Duke style. Straight Isaiah Thomas shorts. Because remember, MJ is not a hater. MJ is not a hater.
Right.
So think about all MJ's minions that just stands for MJ. He's going to talk regular ass basketball. Mm-hmm. He's going to talk about how great Ant-Man and Shea and all these guys are, and it's going to go against the minions, and they're going to have to twerk backwards to just. Yeah, I agree with MJ. What MJ said. What MJ said. Like, hold on, dawg. You've been saying this nigga was ass for 2 years now. Right. Now all of a sudden,
we haven't seen him in 2 years. You haven't seen him.
Great.
He's literally the backhand. He been in here like, yeah, you been saying all that. So LeBron's better than me, huh?
Jason Tatum.
I think that's his whole appearance right now is to be like, so y'all really.
I think he's going to uplift the Jordan guys, though.
Yeah, really?
No,
for sure.
No.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah, Jason Tatum, Luka.
All the Jordan brand guys.
He's going to, but you got to remember the media who team Jordan that kills everybody for Jordan, he's going to be building them up, and they're going to look stupid.
All right, so you heard the clip. Basically, Gilbert Arenas saying that, hey, the media is going to look stupid. Those are the media who are pro-Jordan. When Jordan comes in speaking highly of these players, it's going to make some of these media members look stupid. So, if you've been following my channel long enough, first of all, you know that I am absolutely 100% a Michael Jordan fan. And if you've been following my channel long enough, you also know that I have said several times, talked about Michael Jordan and his positive outlook on life. And I said that also in my video about Michael Jordan coming back yesterday. I think I put that out. I said that in my video about Michael Jordan coming back. I said, now, in terms of him, you know, if he's in the capacity of being some sort of analyst or being seen on TV and talking about the game, Michael Jordan is typically a positive person. So I don't expect it to be like my channel when I'm gonna call LeBron James the duck and the deer and the leader of the 4 and 6 kingdom. I do not expect that from Michael Jordan because, again, Michael Jordan tends to try and look at the positive in everything, and that is part of what makes him great. That is part of who Michael Jordan is. When his father died, you know, he tried to look at the positive. He said, hey, well, I got to have him for 30-something years of my life. You know, that was Michael Jordan's take on it. You know, even his outlooks on his retirement. You know, Michael Jordan tried to always look at the positive. And so while we as fans have certain things that resonate with us, and we have certain things about the GOAT, Michael Jordan, that we personally like, that doesn't always align with Michael Jordan. For instance, I think us as Michael Jordan fans, we like the fact that we can say, hey, Michael Jordan is 6-0 in the finals, never allowing a Game 7. That is a great fact when you're arguing his GOAT status against anybody. However, we all know that Michael Jordan's stance was he wanted to keep winning until he lost. He actually wanted to lose. He said, I wanted to keep going until we lost and then pass the torch and tell the winners, now you get to see what it feels like to be on top. Now you get to see what this pressure is like on top. So while for us fans, it is great that Michael Jordan is 6-0 in the finals, for Michael Jordan, he wanted to keep playing until he lost. And then to come back to the Wizards. A lot of us fans thought, hey, man, I wish he didn't come back to the Wizards, because if he had left off in Chicago, that's just like the perfect ending to a career. You can't ask for anything more perfect. But again, Michael Jordan being the kind of person who likes challenges, who accepts the challenge, for him coming back to the Wizards was another challenge. And if he didn't, he wouldn't be who he was. Now, of course, we know part of his reasoning for coming back had something to do with him being able to return to his front office job, which didn't work out and whatnot. But again, the things that we like as fans about Michael Jordan doesn't necessarily align with what he would actually do in certain situations. So while myself, I'm going to call LeBron James the duck and the deer and the leader of the 4 and 6 kingdom, and I'm going to call all the people who cap for LeBron James, including Gilbert Arenas, I'm going to say they're members of the CFL and whatnot. That is how I would do it. I'm well aware that this is not Michael Jordan and this is not how he does things. He's going to look for the positive. Now, having said that, I also don't think that Michael Jordan is going to cap for the modern NBA either. Because I think it's a fine line between being positive and capping. See, what people in the mainstream media are doing, and this is mostly on the LeBron James side of the fence now, but even though it actually falls onto and here's the other thing before I get into this, is what Gilbert Arenas and people like this don't seem to understand, that these same people who they think are in the mainstream media, these same people who I think they would consider people who are for Michael Jordan, especially like Stephen A. Smith, but even Chris Broussard and some of these other people, these people who they consider Jordan guys, they still cap for LeBron. They cap for LeBron and they cap for the modern NBA. So while I am sure that Michael Jordan is going to be positive in his critiques of the modern NBA, I also don't think he's going to cap for the modern NBA. And by that, I mean, if you go and look at Michael Jordan's interviews long before we got to the state that the NBA is in now, Michael Jordan was on Oprah Winfrey and he pretty much predicted this thing. He pretty much said, hey, when you give players money, a big sum of money before they earned it, they have no incentive to get better. And this is exactly where we are. So Michael Jordan was well aware of these things. So when he's talking about the modern NBA, I'm sure he's going to look for the positive, but I don't think it is in Michael Jordan to actually make a statement that he doesn't believe. So, when they were trying to say Steph Curry was better than Magic Johnson, we saw that Michael Jordan hit up Stephen A. during the show and said, there is no way Steph Curry is better than Magic Johnson. Steph Curry is not better than Magic Johnson. So, and Michael Jordan gave his reasons why, and I agree with that Steph Curry is definitely not better than Magic Johnson as a point guard. But yeah, so I don't believe it is in Michael Jordan to ever say something that he doesn't believe. So while I think he will look for the positive, and he may say some things like, oh, well, yeah, this guy got a lot of potential if he does this and does that, and this guy has a lot of potential, and there's some potential in the league if this happens and that happens. While I expect those kind of things, I never expect him to say, yeah, LeBron James he's definitely the greatest player next to me. I don't expect him to start saying those kind of things. I don't expect him to start saying things like, "Oh, well, you know, this modern era, that they would destroy the 90s and 80s. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's just human evolution. Of course they would destroy us in the 90s and 80s." I don't expect Michael Jordan to start capping and just saying blatantly disrespectful things. And I think that's the thing that people don't know how to separate the difference between the two. Now, having said that, I expect Michael Jordan to be as positive as possible because that is who he is as a person and as a player, and I don't expect him to cap in any way for the modern NBA. Having said that, I will say that first of all, people have to understand that it is a difference between how we as consumers are going to see the game and talk about the game. Again, we are the people, and especially when you're talking about the people who came up in the Jordan era, we are part of the crowd that's responsible for blowing up the NBA the way it was. We are the crowd who grew up during the era where there was tons of basketball movies, who grew up during the era where even on TV shows, playing basketball was regularly part of the show. Like I could think of Martin right off the back, My Wife and Kids, in different shows. It was nothing to see a segment on a sitcom where, you know, part of it was a group of people going to play basketball. You know, we're the era who everyone was wearing jerseys during our era. Like jerseys was part of the fashion of the 90s, and you would see it all the time. So we are the group of consumers who helped grow the game because we got to witness the greatest player to ever play the game. We are part of that group that helped grow the game. So the way we see the game and talk about the game is going to be different because we are the one who are spending our hard-earned money to make these guys millionaires. We are the reason that these guys get to make this amount of money. So yes, our critique is going to be different when we got to witness the most competitive, vicious player to ever play the game, and they tried to tell us in this era that we're witnessing something better than that. Yeah, we're going to have a different kind of reaction to that. We're going to say no, especially when we have to look at someone who is not half the competitive Michael Jordan is, say that he's the GOAT. And we have to listen to people try to justify him calling himself the GOAT, saying, oh, well, he's just being confident. Oh, well, this is just the modern day era. This is how these people talk. This is how the young kids talk. They're just being confident. What's wrong with that? I'm glad he called himself. We have to listen to all this bull stuff. So we are going to have a different kind of pushback. Because it's like, at this point, I feel like you're trying to make a fool out of me. I feel like you really think that I can't see the difference. So yeah, my talking points is going to be different than MJ, who is the greatest of all time. It's going to be different from MJ, who is a player and who has more of an interest in talking positively about the game. You know, I compare it to like a chef in a restaurant. You know, someone who's going to eat at that restaurant, like all we know is we have experience on the best tasting food we've ever eaten in our lives. We can compare that experience to the rest of the food that we've eaten and say, oh, well, this food is really great or this food sucks. And it's going to make it even worse if everyone has been telling us how great this restaurant is. But that's going to be different from someone who's a chef, and while he might not think the person is cooking the greatest food, he can find something positive to say and say, well, hey, I think if this chef does this, he can become a good chef. I think if this chef works on this and works on that, he can become a good chef. Because that is more the place that another chef will be coming from. But from the consumer, it's like, no, I spent my money for this steak that you told me was going to taste great, and it tastes terrible. This is unacceptable. And so this is the same thing we're dealing with when it comes to the NBA. And this is why I said, I don't expect Michael Jordan to go up there and talk like you hear some of the content creators talking. But I feel pretty certain to say that he's not going to be like the rest of the mainstream media, because I don't think that is in Michael Jordan who he is as a person. I feel like, number one, he doesn't have to be a part of it. Michael Jordan's a billionaire. There's nothing. I feel like everyone else has more to gain than Michael Jordan has something to gain by doing it. He has nothing to gain. He has plenty of money. He's the GOAT already. There's nothing, and LeBron James is capable of making himself look foolish all by his own. He's been doing it for 22 years. So Michael Jordan doesn't have to come up for that. So to me, Michael Jordan wouldn't have a reason to cap for the modern NBA. So, yeah, like I said, I do believe what Gilbert Arenas said in terms of, Michael Jordan is not a hater. This is a fact. But the fact is the people who hate LeBron James aren't haters. We just simply dislike LeBron James for what he does, for his actions. And his actions say that he is not this great person that everybody tries to make him out to be. So he's not great in basketball like they try to tell us. And by his actions, he can't be this great person that everybody tries to make him out to be. Again, when you do deplorable things on the court, when you're cheating the game on the court, to me, that says a lot about your character. And it's not just what you've done on the court. It's how you've maneuvered in the league. It's how you left Cleveland. Again, it's how you left Miami when you left D-Wade hanging. D-Wade said when he initially heard LeBron James was leaving, he was upset because that's not what they had discussed. They had discussed sticking together. But again, LeBron James, being a person who is only concerned about himself, being a person who doesn't understand going through hardships, again, going back to Michael Jordan carrying the Bulls in 1998, despite Scottie Pippen being injured and just being a decoy, it's like, okay, Dwayne Wade was injured, but if he could get out on the court, LeBron James, you're supposed to be the greatest player, figure it out. Why couldn't D-Wade be a decoy and LeBron James carry? Oh, because for a multitude of reasons. LeBron James isn't that mentally strong. LeBron James doesn't have the skills. LeBron James is not a good leader. People add to the list. just add the list of reasons why that couldn't have happened. So, but anyway, we're going to hold up here. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. What they were saying on Gilbert Arenas. Now, of course, they said a lot of other cap, and they had this whole thing about the old school not just letting go. Why is NBC trying to bring back the old school instead of going into the future? And as a matter of fact, before we end this video, I just want to briefly say this. People have got to get out of this notion that newer always means better. People have got to get out of this notion that just because time passed means something has evolved for the better. That is not the case. Sometimes it's the case, sometimes it's not. Sometimes things get better, sometimes they actually get worse. This is facts. This is the facts of life. Just because there is no guarantee that 30 years from now the game will be better than it was now. But according to you fanboys' logic, this is exactly the case. that you're assuming that but no, based on the decisions that people make, based on the time that we're living in, if we're still living in entitled times where people think they should just be handed things, including titles, like the greatest of all time, just because you say so. If we're still living in those kind of times, the game will be worse. Evolution doesn't automatically make things better. This is not a guaranteed fact of life like they try to sell you in mainstream media. Oh, of course it's better. It's been 20 years since the 90s. Of course things are better. That's just how things happen. No, things can continue to get better, and then all of a sudden they can take a turn for the worse. Things can continue to get better, and then all of a sudden it can flatline, and it can stay exactly where it's at for the next several years. It could backslide. But people have got to stop with this false notion that time automatically means things are going to get better. This is not the case. You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back sometimes. Sometimes you take 10 steps forward and 11 steps back. And sometimes you can have the 90s where Michael Jordan spent the decade building the NBA into the greatest thing ever seen, and then a player can come along and spend the next 20 years tearing it all down. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.